Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 6 to 10.
Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhishtaya sambhavamyatma mayaya yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyutthanamdharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritrāṇāya sadhūnām vināṣāya ca duṣkrītāṃ dharma samsthāpanārthāya sambhavāmi yuge yuge janma karma ca me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन वीतरागभयक्रोधाः मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः.
A self-realized person is beyond the restriction of time, space, and causation. A common person, an ignorant person in the world is bound by time, space, and causation. You're defined by time, space, and causation. But a self-realized person who is free from this world is not bound by time, space, causation. See, the definition of reality. What is the definition of reality? Reality is that which is the same in the past, present, and future. So anything in the world does not fit this definition of reality. Nothing in the world is permanent. Everything in this world changes. But the self, the Atman, doesn't change. It's the same in the past, in the present, and will continue to be the same in the future. Therefore, the self, the Atman, is the reality. Is not subject to the distinctions of time, space, and causation. So that's what we saw last week, the 5th verse, where Krishna said, he was replying to Arjuna's question as to how did you speak to Vivaswan? How did you speak to Manu and Ikshvaku? So he gave that answer. You see that. Verse 5, many births of mind and yours have passed by, O Arjuna. I know them all while you know not, O Parantapa. Many births have passed by. In the case of Arjuna, more births are going to come. You understand? It won't be in the case of Krishna, but in the case of Arjuna, more births. I know them all while you know not. So, two things you understand from this. First is there is a reincarnation. So, he's saying many births of mine and yours. The clear reference, a direct reference to reincarnation. So, you're incarnated again and again, as long as you have asanas. Second is the distinction is drawing is Arjuna, being an ignorant person, is limited in his understanding. Whereas a self-realized person has got limitless understanding. That's what he means. I know them all. Means it limitless, is unconditioned. See, the more ignorant you are, the more compartments you put yourself into. Yes, the self-realized person is beyond all compartments. There's no distinction. There is no compartments at all. See, there is a compartment of your own body. Your own body is a restriction. And then you belong to a particular family. You belong to a particular country. So you identify yourself with all these compartments. In fact, that's your identity. If you take away all that, there's no identity. So if you ask yourself, who am I? You say, I'm a daughter or I'm a son. I'm a mother or a father. I'm a citizen of this country. So if you were to take away all those qualifications, if you take away all those factors, what are you? So you can't conceive it because your identity is always linked to something external. I'm a man, I'm a woman. You understand? Identifying with a gender. I'm a human being. I still you're identifying with the species. So a self-realized person means is identification is everywhere and nowhere in particular. You can't pinpoint that this is the identification. It's everywhere. You can't conceive it because you need something to fix your identity. So even in Christianity, there's compartments. Catholics, you understand, Protestants, these compartments are there. Not only that, there are so many denominations. Broadly speaking, there are these two denominations. So many denominations. In Islam, there's divisions. In Hinduism, there's divisions. So the more ignorant a person is, the more divisions, the more compartments he puts himself into. The more knowledge you have, the less the compartments. All those identities break down. So see that diagram which we saw last week, three compartments of past, present, and future. So today you're caught up in the present compartment. You're in that box. And those who are going to be born 50 years later or 100 years later, they'll be in the future box, future compartment. Those born 100 years before, they are in the past compartment. So you know what is happening at that time. You don't know what's happening in the past or the future. There is a pure consciousness is beyond these compartments, is above them. So Krishna is identifying with that pure consciousness. So don't take it literally, but what he means is beyond any barriers. And then he continues verse number 6.
अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया.
Though unborn, of imperishable nature and Lord of beings, presiding over my own Prakriti. I am born by my own Maya. He starts off the verse saying, though unborn. And then by the time he ends the verse, he says, I am born. So the same verse, there's a apparent contradiction. Is unborn, is born. See, they introduce these anomalies in the verses just to make us think, just to make you reflect. But if you skim through it, you will not register it. That's why the Bhagavad Gita has to be studied. You can't read the Gita, you got to study it. So, what does it mean? Aja, Aja means unborn. And imperishable, avyaya. See, what it means is Brahman is unborn. Brahman has no birth and death. But when that Brahman operates through the individual, it operates through your body. Your body has a birth and death. So the pure Brahman is unborn, but when Brahman identifies with the body, there's birth, there's death. So it depends upon where you're seeing Brahman. If you're seeing Brahman per se, is unborn. But if you're seeing it through the body, then it is born and it dies. It's like the sun above. The sun is unborn, but when that sun gets reflected in a mirror, if the mirror breaks, what happens to the reflected sun? The reflected sun is also broken, it's gone. So this reflected sun is dependent upon the medium in which it is reflected in. Whereas the sun above is unaffected. So sun is compared to Brahman. Brahman is unaffected, Brahman is unborn. But when Brahman is reflected in humans, then it is affected by the reflecting medium. Whatever happens to your body, it seems to happen to Brahman. Real Brahman is not affected. The reflected Brahman is affected. So see that diagram. The sun is unconditioned. But when it gets reflected, it gets conditioned by the reflecting medium, by the mirror. So if the mirror breaks, the reflected sun breaks, but the original sun doesn't break. Original sun is still intact. So when a person dies, Brahman doesn't die. Brahman is not affected. So, though unborn, I am born. So it depends upon which perspective you're viewing it from. And then he gives other qualities of Brahman. It is imperishable, avyaya. It is Lord of beings. Ishvara Bhutanam. Ishvara means Lord, the Lord of beings. It's like saying petrol is a Lord of vehicles. You understand? No vehicle can drive without petrol. But soon petrol will lose its status as a Lord of vehicles. Electricity will take over. Huh? It's already taking over. So you can say electricity is a Lord of all vehicles. Similarly, Brahman is the Lord of beings, presiding over my own Prakriti. I am born by my own Maya. See, Prakriti means matter. He says, I am presiding over my own Prakriti. Brahman is saying, even matter is mine. Even matter belongs to me. So you all know by now the two components in you, two components in every human being, the spirit and matter. Spirit is the Atman, is a consciousness. And when spirit identifies with matter, there's life. So spirit and matter are two different factors, two different components. And yet here he says, no, matter is also me. Matter is a reflection of the spirit. See, in the Bible it says, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. God created man in his own image. So what does it mean? The matter, the material layers are also a reflection of Brahman. So he says, presiding over my own matter, my own Prakriti. I am born by my own Maya. Maya is just translated as power in this verse. Now, what it actually means by the word Maya, Maya means is an illusion. So you believe that the world is created, that there is an actual creation. He says it's a Maya, it's an illusion. So what is it happening, really speaking? He says there is no creation as such. It is the same Brahman in a different form, which is the world. So Brahman in one form is Brahman, Brahman in another form is this world. There is no difference between Brahman and the world, but you believe the world is different. That's the illusion. That's Maya. So the same component in a different formation creates Brahman, creates the world. Exactly like what is the difference between charcoal and diamond? Charcoal and diamond are both constituted of carbon molecules. The same carbon molecules in one form is charcoal, in another form is diamond. It is just a rearrangement of the carbon molecules. And you see the properties are diametrically opposed. Charcoal is so soft, is black, is worthless. Diamond is sparkling, is bright, is expensive, is hard, it can cut through steel. So the properties are so diametrically opposed, but yet the constituent is the same. So the world is so different from Brahman, but the constituent materials of the world is exactly the same as Brahman. It's called, learn this, few Sanskrit words if you learn, it'll help you. Over the course of these 18 chapters, I'll keep repeating it over and over again, many of these words. Learn this word. It's called Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa means name and form. Nama means name. Rupa means form. See that. Nama Rupa. Name and form. And that's what the scriptures are saying. What is this entire world? What is this entire creation? Nama Rupa. It's just another name, another form. Same Brahman. In another name, another form is this world. Same carbon. And one form is charcoal, another form diamond. You all know hydrogen combines with oxygen to form water. What is hydrogen? Hydrogen is a combustible gas. Oxygen is a supporter of combustion. Hydrogen is a combustible gas. Oxygen is a supporter of combustion. They both join together to form what? A liquid which extinguishes combustion. It's a miracle. You understand? Two gases which support combustion, they form together to create water which extinguishes combustion. Diametrically opposed properties. The constituent elements are the same. So what's the difference between hydrogen, oxygen, and water? Nama Rupa, name and form. Two brothers are formed from the same parents, diametrically opposed to each other. So what is the difference between the two brothers? Nama Rupa, name and form. That's all. So see that water, how is water created? Two atoms of hydrogen combines with an atom of oxygen to form the molecule of water. Two gases combine to form a liquid. Properties are so different. So Vedanta says that world is Brahman. That's all. It's just the same Brahman in a different form, different permutation, different combination. See, another example is four triangles. Four triangles you take and you put them together, they will form a square. What is a square? Square is nothing but four triangles. But when the triangles become a square, the properties change completely. Again, see that diagram. So the triangles, they have two sides that are equidistant. They have one right angle and two acute angles, and two sides are equal, all the four triangles. And when they combine into a square, all the acute angles are disappeared. Only the right angles remain, and all sides are equal. So what is the difference between these four triangles in the square? Nama Rupa, name and form. So that's all he's saying. He's saying, I'm born by my own Maya. He's not born, same thing in a different form. And you are carried away by the world. The attractions of the world, they snare you. You are caught up in the attractions. That's what he means by Maya. Maya means a delusion. You're caught up in the delusion. Okay? And now we move on to the seventh verse.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
One of the most famous verses in the Bhagavad Gita. O Bharata, whenever there is indeed a decline of dharma, righteousness, and a rise of adharma, unrighteousness, then I manifest myself. So if you tell people that you attend Bhagavad Gita classes and they ask you about this verse and you say, oh, you know what, I don't know this verse, then they will not believe that you're attending classes. You understand? So even if you don't learn other verses, please learn this verse. You understand? Only then people will believe that you're attending the Gita classes. So he says, "Oh Bharata." See, the word Bharata literally means one who revels in the light of consciousness. Bharata is derived from two Sanskrit words, Bhasi Rata. Bhasi Rata means one who is reveling in the light of consciousness. It is the name of the ancestor of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, King Bharata. He is the ancestor for both the Pandavas and the Kauravas, son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So it's another name for India, Bharata. This is where it comes from. The origin of that name is here. So Krishna is reminding Arjuna of the culture of that kingdom, which is the same culture in India. So what is the culture is reminding of is the spiritual values. So the ancestors, they were established in the spiritual values. The foundation of their life was based on spiritual values. That's why if you go to India and study every aspect of ancient India, you will find everything is connected to spirituality. Whether you see the dance, different dance forms are there around India. You have Kathakali, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, so many different dances. You see different types of music, classical music. You have sculptures in different parts of India, different temples. Not to talk of science, Ayurveda. Everything you find is rooted in spirituality. Even a manual on sex was written by a sage. The Kama Sutra was written by a sage. So every aspect of life they've explored and they've connected to spirituality. So that's what he's reminding Arjuna. The base, what is the base? Is that spirituality. See, this is called culture. What is culture? See, when we use that word culture, see, every country has a culture. Where does that culture come from? See, this is the definition of culture. Culture means a group of people occupying a geographical place over a long period of time. A group of people, they occupy a geographical place over a long period of time, usually decades or centuries. They respect certain values of life. They develop a fragrance of their own. That fragrance is culture. So, see the definition. A group of people occupying a geographical place over a long period of time, respecting certain values of life, develop a fragrance of their own. That fragrance is the culture. So there's a fragrance here in England. There's a different fragrance in Saudi Arabia. There's a different fragrance in America. There's a different fragrance in India. Like that, each place is determined by the values which those people have followed for centuries. So whenever there is indeed a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, see, the verse is giving us the law of demand and supply. Whenever there's a demand, there's a supply. So what is the demand here? A demand for righteousness, demand for morality, a demand for virtue. So when the virtue declines, when the morality declines, there's a demand. To cater to the demand, a person comes or a group of people come to lift the values, to lift the morality, to lift that virtue. So what happens is the world is constituted of pairs of opposites. So you have morality and immorality. You have virtue and vice. So the proportion varies from age to age. So if the virtue goes up and the vice goes down, there'll be peace, there'll be harmony in the world. But the moment the vice goes up and the virtue goes down, there's disharmony, there's conflict, there's problems. So if the balance shifts too much towards unrighteousness and the vice, the world cannot survive, the world cannot exist. So somebody comes and stabilizes that, balances it. It goes too much out of balance, the world can't take it. And that's what he's saying. Where there's a decline of dharma, too much of immorality, too much of corruption. If it is there, the world can't take it. So to set right the spiritual imbalance, a self-realized person comes. See, it also happens in the world. It not necessarily spiritual things, even political instability, moral instability, different instability, social instability is also corrected. Somebody comes. See, when the world went through the two wars, the two world wars, immediately everybody woke up and said, we can't afford to have a third world war. We need to do something. So there was a demand for peace, and all the countries came together, and the United Nations was created, 1945. Why was the UN created? Because there was a demand for peace. There shouldn't be any conflict. So whenever there's a demand, there's some supply that comes in. In the Indian history, they talk about a practice called sati, where the wife was burnt at the funeral of the husband. The husband died. The wife was burnt alive. So I remember Indian history, they used to talk about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He came and stopped that practice. He was a social activist, campaigned against it and stopped that practice. So it's like that. So somebody comes in to set right. There was a Martin Luther King who came and set right the atrocities, or a Gandhi or a Mandela. You understand? They're different people. Same thing happens in the spiritual angle also. So just as it happens in every other field, in the spiritual field also you get. So you see periodic visitations of great sages. You can go back to the time of Rama or Krishna, Buddha. Right from that time, people have been coming in. There was a Christ, there was a Muhammad, there was a Mahavir. So all these great souls came in to set right that instability of values. So what is the difference? You see that on the screen between dharma and adharma. Dharma means righteousness, morality, virtue. Adharma is the opposite of dharma. Unrighteousness, immorality, vice. So then I manifest myself. Krishna is saying, then I manifest myself. When? When there's a decline of righteousness. See, it's exactly like how winds are attracted to an area of low pressure. When there is an area of low pressure, winds are attracted to that area. Exactly like that. When the values go down, there is a demand. To supply to the demand, a person comes to give this knowledge. See, interestingly, why is there a decline in the first place? He says, whenever there's a decline of dharma, question is, why is there a decline? The decline is because there is a natural tendency for the human mind to go towards materiality and sensuality. There's a natural pull. You need enormous amount of character and conviction to resist that pull. Oh, social pressures. What social pressures? Social pressures is nothing but your own attraction for materiality and sensuality, nothing else. Oh, everybody in the society is pressurizing me to study Vedanta. Will it ever happen like that? Everybody is forcing me to come and attend Bhagavad Gita classes. Has it ever happened? It'll never happen. You understand? So when you say the society is pressurizing you, what direction is the society pressurizing you? Towards materiality, towards sensuality. And since you're interested in that, therefore you're interested in the society. Nothing else. So it's a natural pull, it's a natural tendency to gravitate towards that. To resist that, you need enormous amount of knowledge. So that's why he's saying here, I manifest, I help you to lift yourself. I give you that strength. I come and help you to get out of that. Not only that, is interesting. You see people who indulge in materiality. They keep on going into materiality. After a while, what happens? They get neutralized to wealth. They get neutralized to enjoyments. There is no further pleasure in wealth. There's no further pleasure in enjoyment. So what do? They are seeking an alternative. So such people gravitate towards this knowledge. They are tired of materiality and sensuality. Hmm? How many boxes of chocolates you can eat? Uh, how many places you can keep on visiting? Suppose you can afford, okay, every day you can go to a different country, take a private jet and go to different city in the world every day. What will happen? Initially, you will be excited. After a month, after 2 months, you'll be sick and tired of it. Eating in the best restaurants, best hotels in the world, how long you'll keep doing it? Afterwards, you get sick and tired. This is called neutralization. So you get neutralized, you lose the pleasure. So where do you seek that happiness? You come to this. Ultimately, you got to come here. So that's what he's saying. So whenever that values declining not only in the world, even in you, when the values decline, there's a demand, and to supply to the demand, somebody comes and gives the knowledge. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada means whenever. Dharmasya. Glanir bhavati bharata. There's a glani means decline, decay. There's a decay of righteousness. Abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamya. Then I manifest myself. And then he continues, next verse.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम् धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम् धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे.
And then he continues, what will the self-realized person do? He says, for the protection of the virtuous, for the destruction of the wicked, and for the establishment of dharma, I am born from age to age. Sambhavami yuge yuge. I am born from age to age. See, what is important to note is when he says, I am born, it is not Mr. Krishna. It's not Krishna who's born. It is the self that is born. The self is born again and again and again. And the self is born through a self-realized person. So at any age in history, when a self-realized person comes, the self operates through the self-realized person. That's what he means. I am born means a self-realized person is born. So the self is born through a pure person, a person who has realized the self. Through that person it is born. See, some of you could ask, why is it that Krishna is born again and again? Or the self is born again and again? Why is it has to come? Why can't he just finish the job once and for all? Huh? Finish off the unrighteousness, finish off the evil. So, see, what you have to understand is the nature of the world is that you cannot eradicate evil completely. That is the nature of the world. So, nature of the world is they will have to be evil in the world. Like I already said, what is the world? World is pairs of opposites. You can't have only purity. There has to be purity and impurity. You can't have only righteousness. It's righteousness and unrighteousness. That is the definition of the world. So by definition, you can't eradicate unrighteousness. So all that these great masters can do is they can set right that imbalance. But once they leave, what will happen? Again, unrighteousness will go up, righteousness will go down. Again, somebody else comes and sets it right. Again, it'll go back to that. So this constantly happens. Swami Ramatita, when he was lecturing in America in 1902, the Americans, they asked him, they said, Swami, have you come to reform the world? To which he replied, I haven't come to reform the world. Reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. He said, I am no reformer. Because what is reforming the world? Reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. You've seen that? If you straighten it, what happens? Again, it goes back. You straighten it, it goes back. You can never straighten it. That's what he means. So don't waste your time with that. The world will be like that. Yes, of course, you do your obligation. Whatever your obligation is, you do to help the world to set right. But the main thing is you focus on finding perfection within. There is no perfection in the world. The only place you can find perfection is within. So you go within and find it. Don't get involved in the external world. The famous words of Christ, iniquity there shall be in the world, woe unto you if you are the cause of it. See that. Iniquity there shall be in this world. Woe unto you if you be the cause. You don't be the cause of iniquity. But you can't say, why is there negativity in the world? Why is there evil in the world? That is the nature of the world. You can't eradicate it. So I am born from age to age. The self is there to set right the values. So specifically, he says the three things he's giving. What is the role of a self-realized person? So the role of a self-realized person, number one, he says protection of the virtuous. See, this applies in the world outside. It also applies at the individual level. At the global level, individual level, the same principle applies. So protection of the virtuous. So those who already have values, the person comes to preserve those values. Second is destruction of the wicked. So destruction of the wicked, in the sense, he destroys the negative vasanas. You remove the negative vasanas. And third, establishes dharma. Dharma, righteousness, means the path to truth. You follow the path to truth. So before you can follow the path to truth, you've got to reduce your negative vasanas. You've got to establish virtue in you. So see that the three purposes. three roles. So protection of the virtuous, destruction of the wicked, and establishment of righteousness. This is exactly the same significance of Navaratri. So Navaratri, 9 days, it is celebrated. First 3 days are dedicated towards goddess Durga. Why goddess Durga? To remove negative vasanas. Second 3 days to goddess Lakshmi. Lakshmi means wealth. So wealth of knowledge, wealth of emotions, wealth in every sense of the word. You infuse yourself with that wealth. And last 3 days is for goddess Saraswati, the knowledge of the self. So before you gain knowledge, what you need to do? First, remove negative asanas, then get positive values, then your mind is prepared to gain the knowledge. So that's the sequence. Rama protected Sugriva and destroyed Vali. So Sugriva was a passively good person. He was a good person, but he was passive. He couldn't think. He couldn't plan. So Rama came and helped him to destroy his wicked brother Vali, who was an aggressively bad person. Similarly, Krishna, he supported the Pandavas and destroyed the Kauravas. Same principle. So protection of the virtuous and destruction of the wicked. And for the establishment of dharma. So then the balance is set right. Nilesh.
Hari Om Bhaskarji.
Hari Om.
So Bhaskarji, if the world is a combination of both the flavors, yeah, righteousness and unrighteousness, then what is meant by Satyug?
The balance changes. See, the proportion of goodness and badness changes. That's all. From the Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, the balance is shifting more towards unrighteousness. The proportion changes more towards unrighteousness. But even in Satya Yuga, it's not 100% purity.
Okay.
You understand? There's nothing like that. They can't be. World means there has to be impurities, pairs of opposites.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaskarji.
Hari Om Bhaskarji.
Yes, Vijaya.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding this concept because we've learned earlier a reincarnated person cannot be born. But in this verse, we are learning that a reincarnated person is coming to save the world.
No, you
Can
mean
you-
self-realized person.
Yeah. Sorry.
Self-realized.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Can you explain, please?
No, I already told Vijay. See, it's not that Krishna is born. He's not reincarnating. I already clarified that. So it is, see, I am born, that I is not Krishna. I means a self. Self manifests through any self-realized person, not just Krishna. It could be any self-realized person at any age. The self expresses through that person. That's what he means. But you're right. The principle is that a self-realized person can't be reborn. A self-realized person can't reincarnate. It's not possible.
So what's different here now then when you're saying they are coming to save the world?
They means not one person is coming. So whenever there is a demand, somebody, whoever it is, 50 years back, see, like that's why I'm giving the examples. It could be a Buddha, it could be a Ramana Maharishi, it could be a Ramakrishna Param, some soul who has gained that knowledge of the self, that person comes.
Okay.
So it manifests as somebody somewhere. It could be any part of the world. You understand? So he's explaining where do those people go? They go wherever there's a decline of righteousness, where there's a demand for values. They go there to set right that imbalance. If there's no demand, they won't go. See, for example, you close the window. What does the wind do? It goes somewhere else. So if you close the window is not going to come. It'll go somewhere else where the window is open. So there has to be a demand for them to supply. So different people have done this in the past. Different souls. So Krishna is identifying with all those great souls. So it's not one person. It's any self-realized person.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaskarji.
Shrikala.
Hari Om Bhaskarji. So the concept of Kalki avatar as a self who's supposed to come as a next avatar of Vishnu, when is that supposed to happen? Do we know that?
Nobody knows. It's just a concept that they're giving.
Mhm.
Why are you getting caught up in all this? It's just a concept to say evolution of humans. I already explained in the past how
Yeah.
humans have evolved. They're saying different stages of the evolution. Next stage is Kalki. That's all it is. In what form it is, who knows? Just a theory. That's all it is.
Yeah, but he's coming because of, as this verse says, to destroy wickedness and establish righteousness, isn't it? Yeah.
The person could have already come. How do you know? You understand? See, it's just a theoretical concept. It's not that suddenly now Kalki is come. It's not like that. It's a theory that they're giving. Now, to be able to identify, you need to know what qualities to look out for.
Yeah.
You understand? See, all these great souls, when they were born, they were not recognized. They were recognized when? 50 years or 100 years after the death. When was Christ recognized? When was Buddha recognized? Not during the lifetime.
Yeah.
So they were recognized much, much later. So what are we talking about? You wouldn't know.
Okay. Thank you.
See, that's why what they're saying is don't get involved in all these things beyond a point. It's just a theory which is given. Your business is to set right yourself. So forget about all these things. You go back to the drawing board to set right yourself. Meaning you develop spiritually. You find that spirituality within you. That's all. You're waiting for somebody to come and do it. It'll never happen. You got to make that effort.
Okay. Thank you.
See, if you take 10 steps, then somebody will come and help you. You understand? But if you're waiting for somebody to come, it'll never happen. You want to start with an effort from your side. When you start with an effort from your side, then you'll attract somebody to come and help you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Next verse.
जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन.
He who knows thus my divine birth and action in true light, having abandoned the body, is not born again. He comes to me, O Arjuna. See, again, straight away he's saying here, see, he's not born again. He's clarifying, what we were discussing in the previous verse. So a self-realized person is not born again because there is no vasanas. So that is the definition of self-realization. Self-realization is the eradication of vasanas. Vasanas is the cause of rebirth. So when there's no vasanas, how can there be rebirth? So why does a person acquire a body? A person acquires a body in order to fulfill vasanas. That's why each of our bodies are different. Why each one's body is different? Your body is designed to fulfill your vasanas. So based on your vasanas, you acquire a particular type of body. So when the body is not suited to fulfill the vasanas, you drop this body, pick up another one. That's why a person dies. Because the body is no longer suited to fulfill the desires, to fulfill the vasanas. So you die, you pick up another body. Again, you go about fulfilling. When that's no longer suited, drop it. Next one. When all the vasanas are gone, why do you need body anymore? You don't need body. Becomes redundant. That's what he means. Abandon the body. Abandon the body doesn't mean you go and commit suicide. That's not what he's saying. Abandon the body means that you abandon the vasanas. Vasanas are abandoned. Therefore, there's no possibility of reincarnation. So please remember, we're studying a scripture. So you've got to interpret it. It's not something you can just read casually. So he who knows my divine birth and action in true light, tattvataha. The Sanskrit word is tattvataha. Tattvata means in essence. One who knows the truth in essence. See, knowing the truth is becoming the truth. So truth is not just an objective knowledge for you to get. Now I've read it. Now I understand what the truth is. No. To know the truth, you've got to become the truth. To know Brahman, you've got to become Brahman. So those who have become Brahman, those are the self-realized souls. So they know the birth and action in true light. They know that unconditioned self. See, what you see is conditioned self. You say, what is the difference? The difference is you pour water into a blue glass. Okay, you take a blue glass and you pour water into it. What happens? Water appears blue. You take the same water, pour it into a red glass, it'll appear red. But what is the color of water per se? It's colorless. You say water appears blue, water appears red, water is colorless. So the true nature of water is colorless, but through a blue glass it appears blue, through a red glass it appears red, through a green glass it appears green. So it's conditioned water is different from unconditioned water. So self is that enlivening principle. So he who knows thus my divine birth and action in true light, having abandoned the body, means is removed all the vasanas, is not born again. He doesn't need to be born, because he's already realized the self. He comes to me. He becomes one with the self, Arjuna. So the advice here is to gain the knowledge of the self. So when you gain the knowledge of the self, you feel more contented. You feel more fulfilled. As a result, you don't need desires. You need desires only when you feel discontented. When you feel contented, why do you need desires? It becomes redundant. Each of these verses, at least there is one central point in these verses. So you pick up the central message from each of the verses, and then there are sub points. One central point, and then there are subsidiary points. So that's how you got to study when you go back and you go through these verses. So try and catch up on these verses before the next class. Always before the next class, go back and read through 4 verses, 4 or 5 verses I cover every class. Quickly you can go through it. See the translation, see the Sanskrit, see the English, all that kind of a thing. Spend a little bit of time going through it.